Today in Fulchester Crown Court, Mr. and Mrs. Carmooney are charged with attempting to cause grievous bodily harm to William Hathaway, the foster father of their daughter Letitia. Thuo Carmooney is additionally charged with dangerous driving, and his wife Mirika with aiding and abetting him in this.
So on. Now, Mr. Hathaway, can we refer to the plan again? Now, you say the passenger door knocked you to point B, after which the cortina braked violently.
Very.
And broadsided to a stop at point C.
Yes.
What speed would you estimate he was doing at the time he struck you?
Something over 10 miles an hour.
Now, this happened in the Stonebridge Road car park. Is it a public car park?
I'm not sure what...
No, could the public use it without paying?
Oh, yes, they could.
Was there any reason why Carmooney might have failed to see you in order to stop or avoid you?
None.
You were actually hit by the passenger door of the car.
Yes.
And you said Mrs. Carmooney appeared to you to have deliberately opened the door.
Yes.
Could you see any reason for Mrs. Carmooney opening the door other than to do you an injury?
It's hard to see what else.
Mr. Hathaway, it is very important that the jury hear you clearly on this point.
I'm sorry, my lord. She must have seen me, so it follows she must have realized the door would hit me.
Thank you. And what happened then, after their car had stopped?
Well, of course, I was badly winded and in a lot of pain, my arm broken and so on. Well, I started to try and get up, and Mirika, Mrs. Carmooney, came across to me from the car.
Did she help you up?
No, just looked at me for a moment.
Didn't she speak to you?
Yes, she said, "You will die, Mr. Hathaway."
You will die, Mr. Hathaway. Anything else?
No. Well, her husband had started yelling at her, you see. They had quite a row, and finally she got back in the car.
What were they arguing about?
Oh, I've no idea. They were speaking in, well, I suppose it was Swahili or Makuyu or something. There was another coloured fellow in the back of the car with quite a lot to say as well. Well, after a bit shouting and arguing the toss, they simply drove off.
You didn't try and stop them?
No fear.
Why was this?
Well, for one thing, I was too shaken up.
Yes. And was there anything else?
Yes, well...
Wasn't it that you were afraid?
My lord.
Mr. Lotterby, please do not lead the witness.
I apologize, my lord. What were your feelings at the time?
Well, it was obvious the man was pretty het up, and his wife and this other chap were trying to cool him off. Well, I knew he was in an extremely anti-frame of mind, aggressive towards me, I mean. And I was relieved when they persuaded him to drive off.
How did you know this? That he was aggressively inclined towards you?
Well, because of the way he'd been carrying on ever since the custody hearing. Because of the persecution.
My lord, I must protest most strongly. We are concerned here with an alleged assault in the car park of the Fulchester Industrial Estate, and with the attitude of mind of the accused at that time. With respect, I submit that it is improper for the witness to speculate as to that attitude on the basis of some impressions he may have formed prior to the incident.
Mr. Lotterby?
My lord, the persecution referred to by Mr. Hathaway is central in explaining the actions of the Carmooneys. Their assault on the 13th of April was in fact the culmination of a malicious campaign of harassment against the Hathaway family.
My lord.
In a moment, Mr. Haverstock-Brown. Mr. Lotterby, do you have any evidence that the accused were specifically involved with this alleged harassment?
I do, my lord. I shall be calling several witnesses in addition to Mr. Hathaway.
Well, in that case, Mr. Haverstock-Brown, I have no alternative but to let this evidence be heard.
As your lordship pleases.
Now, Mr. Hathaway, would you care to tell us when the harassment started?
Well, in a sense, it actually started in the High Court.
And that was after the action you brought in the High Court?
Yes.
Against the Carmooneys' claim to have their daughter, Letitia, returned to them.
That's right, yes.
And you won the action and retained custody?
Yes.
How long have you and your wife been Letitia's foster parents?
9 years.
And what happened in the High Court?
Well, immediately the judge gave his ruling, both the Carmooneys started making a terrible fuss. Carmooney ran across and tried to grab hold of me. He kept shouting that we were thieves and kidnappers, and we would suffer for it.
They uttered threats?
Of violence. And Mrs. Carmooney said we'd be cursed. And
cursed?
So, yes. Well, I didn't get the significance of it until, well, over a week later.
How was that?
Well, perhaps I should try to keep this in order. The first thing was when we realized we were sort of under observation.
What, at your home?
Yes, sir. A car with coloured people in it parked across the road from us. Then, when either my wife or I went out, we'd be followed.
You say coloured people, Mr. Hathaway. Do you mean the accused?
I'm sure Mr. Carmooney was there, my lord. Well, quite often it was his Katina parked across from the house. But I can't honestly say I could have identified him as one of them, sir.
Thank you. Now, when this car followed you, what happened then?
We just followed at a distance. They watched when we went into a shop or something.
They never threatened you?
We never even spoke to us, sir. They just watched
Yes.
and scowled. It was damned unnerving, I can tell you. And worse still for my wife.
Yes, I'm sure. But they never molested you in any way?
Not out in the open, sir, no. But you see, that was only a part of it. There were also the phone calls. Well, they were abusive then, all right. Jabbering all sorts of filth at us. Well, any time of the day or night they'd phone.
Did you recognize the voices?
Well, sometimes it was Kamuni, I'm sure of that.
But not Mrs. Kamuni?
I don't think so, sir, no. And then we started to get abusive letters through the post.
May we have the letters, please? Exhibits 5 and 6, my lord. Are these the letters?
There are a couple of the later ones, yes. We got quite a few more, but my wife burnt them straight away.
None of them signed?
But I don't think anyone would put his name to filth like this.
Now, you mentioned a curse, and I see there's a reference in one of these to the curse of Kilimanjaro. Is that what you were referring to?
Well, I didn't really take all that seriously. It sounded like a Gregory Peck movie. Well, anyway, the business about the curse didn't start till more than a week after the High Court verdict.
What exactly did it consist of?
Well, it was always at night. Up till then, there'd just been the phone calls and letters, and these people waiting outside to follow us. Then one night, we were wakened by the sound of drumming outside. 2 drums, one slow and the other fast. I looked out and thought I saw someone in the garden. Then the drumming stopped dead, and there was this wild yelling, and then complete silence. And in the morning, we found various symbols smeared on the walls and the front door.
What sort of symbols?
Birds, snakes, and handprints. They were very crudely done, smeared. Frankly, we didn't feel much like, analysing them. We assumed they were blood. The job we had was scrubbing them off.
Well, now, that was the first night. What then?
Well, then we had 2 nights quiet, not even the phone calls. And then the full palaver all over again.
You notified the police, I take it.
Well, at that stage, though, we were still determined to ignore it. You see, all along we'd felt, well, not guilty exactly, but we're very upset for the Kamunis. For Marika Kamuni, at least, having to lose her daughter.
My lord, ultimately the campaign of harassment rose to such a pitch that Mr. Hathaway was forced to go to the police, and indeed to the courts, to seek an injunction to restrain the Kamunis from further malicious interference.
And was this injunction granted?
Well, the application was lodged a couple of days before the assault in the car park, my lord, and since the harassment stopped immediately after, the injunction proceedings were discontinued. Mr. Hathaway, what for you was the final straw that drove you to seek this injunction?
Well, it was really these juju nights, as we called them.
Juju.
We assumed all this was to do with them trying to put some sort of curse on us, tribal magic of some kind. I believe they call it juju. Well, each morning there'd be some new variety of garbage in the doorstep. Bones and horns, dead birds, teeth, clay effigies with thorns stuck in them.
My lord, I'm sure all this is highly diverting, but even if the witness did genuinely find these ghoulish items all over his garden, I fail to see how he could blame them on the accused.
My lord, the juju was clearly associated with the overall pattern of persecution.
Did you actually see the accused in the vicinity on the nights in question, Mr. Hathaway?
Not positively, sir. But I did recognize his Katina parked outside on the road on a couple of the nights.
Mr. Haverstock Brown? Well, what about your neighbours? Did they have nothing to say about all this, all these drums and yells?
Well, we're pretty well out in the country, sir. Our only close neighbours are a retired couple, both fairly deaf, and we did our best to conceal it all from them.
Most considerate.
Well, as I said earlier, sir, up until they ran into me with the car, our attitude was, well, to try and ignore it. We had our phone number changed, we went away at weekends, we did everything we could to ignore it.
In fact, you're saying that your attitude towards the Kamunis throughout has been one of extreme tolerance.
We've tried to be, yes.
Even though you believe they were obsessed with retrieving their daughter, Letitia, a daughter whom you and your wife had cherished for the past 9 years. A little girl by now as British in her ways as her schoolfellows.
Well, we have tried to bring her up with a dual sense of identity, mind you, to be proud of her origins.
If not some of their less desirable customs, such as the Lobolo, whereby her father could set a definite commercial value on little Letitia in the marriage market.
Now, Mr. Lotterby, I've asked you not to go raking up this sort of thing.
And of course, it's distasteful, Mr. Hathaway, we can all see that, but I think it is relevant
Well,
to the
perhaps
case.
you'll allow me to judge, to decide what's relevant.
As you wish.
I'm sure we're all very impressed with this attitude of tolerance, sir. But may we take it you feel somewhat guilty and embarrassed over this whole affair?
I certainly find it all most unpleasant and regrettable.
I'm sure. However, your reason for holding back on the injunction, you are sure it wasn't really more because you had doubts? The fact is, Mr. Kamuni was not out there in the Ford Cortina at night, and you knew it, or had your doubts.
No, I was certain it was him.
Really, sir? Doesn't one black man look much like another black man? Wasn't there this nagging doubt in your mind?
I've known Thua Kamuni for 9 years. I was in no doubt. In fact, if I hadn't been sure he was involved, I'd have gone to the police far earlier.
Ah, yes, this tolerance, this sense of guilt you have towards the Kamunis. And was that the reason why you were also reluctant to go to the police the second time to report this alleged assault? Come now, Mr. Hathaway. Wasn't it a full 4 hours before you finally went to the police after the incident?
I did have a broken arm.
You got a colleague to drive you to the Fulchester General Hospital. You had x-rays, you had a full medical examination, you sent for your wife, your solicitor, and finally the police. Correct, Mr. Hathaway?
Well, yes, but I...
Thank you. So, may we take it that this protracted delay was yet another manifestation of your attitude towards the Kamunis? It took the combined pressures of your wife and your lawyer to finally persuade you to go to the police.
Well, that's nonsense. I told you I had a broken arm. I was exceedingly shaken up. It was several hours before I was well enough to speak to the police.
Well enough. So now, maybe we are getting at it.
I'm sorry, I don't quite see...
The dog and pheasant, Mr. Hathaway. You testified earlier that was where you'd had a snack lunch just before the incident. How many drinks did you have during this snack lunch?
Now, come on.
How many?
My usual couple. You can ask the barman.
I'm asking you, Mr. Hathaway.
And I'm telling you, a couple. A beer and a glass of wine with my sandwiches.
Were you in company?
I was alone.
I suggest to you, Mr. Hathaway, that you imbibed considerably in excess of 2 drinks.
No.
You then drove back to the car park, you left your car, you staggered drunkenly into the path of Mr. Kamuni's car, causing him to swerve violently and his passenger door to fly open. You were knocked down, but when they tried to help you up, you shouted at them with such drunken abusiveness that they decided to leave.
That's nonsense.
You were taken to hospital where, aware of danger of tests, you delayed contacting the police until such time as you put it you were well enough. Until, in fact, you were sober enough.
I see.
Do you, sir? Well, I trust the jury does as well.
I repeat, I had only 2 drinks. I was, to all intents and purposes, completely sober.
Well, we shall see. So, let us get back to this tolerant attitude of yours, this sense of guilt we were talking about earlier. You'd been subjected to campaigns of harassment. Well, you and your wife must have found this all highly distressing.
We certainly got damn sick of it.
Also, you were convinced the defendants were involved, that they had got it in for you, in fact. So it was understandably enough that you mistook the accident as an aggressive assault.
It was no accident.
You can be sure. Really sure?
Yes.
For a man of such absolute certainty, you were remarkably slow in contacting the police.
I told you.
Wasn't it that you had doubts, serious doubts? And only when your wife and lawyer arrived at the hospital, only then when they started pressing you, or Mr. Hathaway, or was it all rather more sinister than that? Was it that you realized all along that it was an accident and you had no intention of going to the police until later? Until it was pointed out to you that here was the perfect opportunity for you to, forgive me, blacken the Kamunis.
Why in the world would I want to do that?
Oh, come, Mr. Hathaway, sure it's obvious. The Kamunis are contesting the legal custody of their daughter. The case goes before the Court of Appeal next month, is it not? They are still fighting to win their little daughter back from you. Now, what better opportunity than to show them up as vicious and irresponsible than to accuse them of trying to run you down?
So you're saying, Mrs. Hathaway, there's no doubt in your mind that Thuo Kumuni was a party to this persecution?
Oh, none at all. In fact, on several occasions, I went out and tried to talk to him. Usually when he was sitting across the road in the wreck of a car of his.
How did he respond?
He didn't like it very much. He used to roll up the window when he saw me coming, even drive off.
Now, what about the other people helping him in the conspiracy? Did you recognize any of them?
I'd seen a couple of them in the court at the custody hearing. They were ordered out for barracking. And,
Yes?
there's another one of them out there now, waiting to give evidence. The one who was with the Kamundis when they ran my husband down.
My lord.
Yes, yes. Now, members of the jury, since the witness's last statement was based upon hearsay, you will please disregard it. Mrs. Hathaway was not present and cannot give evidence about anything that happened.
Mrs. Hathaway, would you mind telling us how you responded to this harassment?
Well, we thought it was all rather sad and pathetic. We knew that Marika was very upset about losing Letty, and naturally we felt very sorry for her. And here were these idiot men behaving, well, like idiots. Just what they hope to achieve, I can't imagine. I mean, maybe they can carry on like that in an African bundu, I don't know. But in suburban Fulchester, well, it's downright pathetic.
Yes, well, ultimately you concurred when your husband sought an injunction.
When all this revolting black magic nonsense started, I insisted. It really was getting us down. I've always been prone to migraine, and Bill is inclined to insomnia at the best of times.
You associated all this with the curse of Kilimanjaro. Was there any justification for this?
No, I expect it was just the strain, mostly.
And the little girl, how did she take it?
She used to hear the drums, of course. All the racket they made at night, it upset her terribly. Her health, generally. She came out in a horrible skin rash.
And it was all this that occasioned your change of heart towards the persecution?
Yes.
Mrs. Hathaway, if I may anticipate a line of inquiry from my learned friend, would you tell us why you were so anxious to retain custody of, and if possible, formally adopt Letitia Kamuni?
Letty'd been with us since she was a baby of 4 months. She'd hardly seen her natural parents at all, certainly not in the last few years. And now, here they are, wanting to snatch her away back to Kenya, where she won't know a thing of the language or the customs, the way they think or behave. Oh, it's all quite barbarous.
I believe Letitia herself is very upset at this prospect.
Oh, distraught, poor little thing. And she's inclined to be a bit nervous anyway, and she simply can't cope with the idea of being taken away.
Thank you, Mrs. Hathaway.
Madam, have you any children of your own?
No.
Why is that, please?
My husband and I decided there were enough being born into this world without our adding to the number.
Ah. You see, the world is so grossly overpopulated that you have elected to forgo the joys of parenthood.
Yes.
Know the reason?
None.
It wasn't that you were unable for physical reasons to have children of your own.
Oh, it's all right, Mr. Lotby. Mr. Brown is welcome to question my fertility. However, the answer is no. As far as we know, there was nothing to prevent us from breeding children of our own.
So the motivation behind your fostering Letitia was purely altruistic, an act of simple charity.
We saw it as our human duty.
A highly disinterested attitude. But one, in fact, as we shall hear, your true motives were somewhat more selfish.
If that's so, why didn't we adopt straight away instead of just fostering?
It is my job to ask the questions, madam. However, since you are, in fact, currently seeking to adopt a child, I fancy the point is somewhat more academic.
Oh, I don't see why. When we first fostered Letty, it was going to be for no more than a few months. It was the Kamunis who kept extending it, not us. And now it's 9 years, and adoption is the only answer.
Was there ever a point when you encouraged the Kamunis to have her back?
Well, I suppose...
Isn't it true you made it increasingly difficult for them to keep contact with Letitia?
Oh, not at all.
You moved away from London, came up to Fulchester.
Well, that was because of my husband's work.
You never offered to take her down to London to see her real mother, to see this woman for whom you profess such touching sympathy?
Well, surely the onus was on the Kamunis to come and visit Letty. After all, we weren't taking any money from them towards her upkeep. If they couldn't make the effort to come and visit her, well, really, I think
put it to you, madam, that you have acted with the shabbiest hypocrisy throughout this entire affair. You used your social position as a worker in Shepherd's Bush to win their confidence and to get hold of their daughter. You subsequently did everything you could to sever their contact with Letitia. You paraded as a charitable do-gooder, when in reality your sole motive throughout was the selfish one of wanting to win legal custody of their child, of transforming Letitia Comooney into Letty Hathaway.
Nonsense! Totally untrue! I suppose someone like you wouldn't begin to understand motives that were anything but selfish.
Someone like me, madam? You mean because I'm black, I take it?
Oh, no, of course not.
Well, if you have acted throughout with such highly civilized motives, perhaps you could care to tell us why on 2 separate occasions last year, why you offered the Comooneys money to renounce their parental rights. Why, in effect, you wanted to buy their daughter.
I did nothing of the sort. Poor Marika was in awful difficulties, worked off her feet, desperately short of money.
And you, true to the Lady Bountiful image, were merely offering money to help out.
If that arrogant, self-opinionated slob of a husband of hers had ever stirred himself once to help, instead of just lolling about yakking all the time, living off her back, it wouldn't have been...
Mrs. Hathaway, please, don't let's get involved in your prejudices.
Prejudices? How dare you call me prejudiced? How dare you? Good God Almighty, I take on the mothering of a coloured child, and you call me prejudiced.
Madam, did I say anything about racial prejudice? As I understand that your criticism was of Theo Comooney as a man and a husband.
Yes. Yes, you're right, it was.
You know, I fancy the jury might find that outburst rather revealing.
Oh? Revealing? Of what?
Of your true attitude towards this little girl.
In what way?
Your total lack of love.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean by that.
No? Somehow one wouldn't expect you to. After all, isn't the expression of love and tender feelings rather, shall we say, alien to your nature?
If by that you mean that I don't wear my heart on my sleeve.
I mean, madam, that you are not of a very affectionate disposition, that you are by nature a more detached and calculating person.
Oh, and just how do you leap to that conclusion?
From your choice of phrase. For instance, ask why you chose to foster Letitia. You tell us it was your human duty.
So?
Well, I should have thought the more human motive would be because one quite simply likes children.
Well, I do.
And then again, one might have expected your reason for wishing to retain custody of Letitia to have something to do with love and tender feelings. But no. Instead, you inform us it would be because it would be quite barbarous for her to have to face life among her own people.
Well...
Revealing phrases, madam. But then, as you say, you don't wear your heart on your sleeve.
No, exactly.
And then again, you tell us how you choose to take on the mothering of a coloured child. Just as in bygone days, the squire's wife used to take on the care of the needy and sick in the parish.
An extraordinary parallel.
Really? Isn't that how you see yourself? The patron of the poor, uncivilized black immigrants who don't know anything about family planning. In fact, a lot of days, a squire's wife...
The case of the Queen against Comooney and Comooney will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Today in Fulchester Crown Court, Mr. and Mrs. Comooney are charged with attempting to cause grievous bodily harm to William Hathaway, the foster father of their 9-year-old daughter. Evidence so far presented has revealed that preceding the alleged assault, Mr. Hathaway and his wife Peggy were subjected to a campaign of persecution, which included the laying of a tribal curse against them. Although witnesses claim to have seen Comooney taking part in this persecution, this has been hotly challenged by the defence.
Now, Mrs. Hathaway, this persecution, You stated earlier that you positively identified the accused outside your house.
That is so.
Well, I should tell you that he denies this.
Oh, I'm sure. His word against mine.
And not necessarily. It could be that you were mistaken in your identification. You were angry and disturbed by the attentions of these colored people. In your distress, you could very naturally assume that they were in some way involved, that they were taking some sort of vengeance.
We hadn't wronged them.
Oh, come. You had robbed them of their child. You had fought him in the courts.
I saw him, I tell you.
You were revolted by the supposed tribal spell which was being put on you. You were suffering from migraine attacks. Your husband couldn't sleep. The child was suffering a progressive illness. Isn't it likely, to say the least, that under these circumstances your judgment could have been blurred?
I saw him.
You saw a colored man resembling him in a car you took to be his.
No!
This supposed black magic really frightened you, didn't it, Mrs. Hathaway? Something pagan, something primitive, something totally alien to your race and culture. And worse, something rooted in the origins of the child you had brought into your home. This tribal spell was a manifestation of all the things you had tried to suppress in her.
No.
No? No, what? No, you had not tried to suppress them?
No, I meant that...
You deny seeking to eradicate all traces of Letitia Comuni's cultural heritage so as to ensure her alienation from her natural parents and people?
My lord, there are limits.
There are indeed. Mr. Haverstock Brown, the appeal over the custody of this child is to be heard next month in another court. I urge you to keep such speeches for that hearing.
If your lordship directs. If my conduct appears as somewhat overzealous in this case, it is because of the profound sympathy I have for the two accused in this case. No further questions.
Very well, you may leave the witness box.
Thank you.
I call my last witness, Dr. Ian Percival.
Dr. Ian Percival, please.
I have only one query on your report, Doctor. There's no reference in it to any tests for alcohol. How is this?
Well, there was no call for any.
Well, it's been suggested that Mr. Hathaway was drunk at the time, so drunk that he staggered into the path of the accused's car.
Well, that's nonsense.
When you examined him in hospital, he was completely sober.
Oh, completely. Shocked, of course, but no sign of drinking.
Thank you, Doctor. Now, you've known Mr. Hathaway professionally and socially for quite some considerable time, I believe.
All of 6 years, I'd say.
Would you describe him as a heavy drinker?
No, I would not.
Thank you. Now, on the evening of the 11th of April last, where were you?
Visiting the Hathaways.
And when you left their house, what did you see?
Well, their house is at the end of the road. I'd parked my car at the end of the tarmac. When I came out, there was this old Cortina parked alongside mine, parked tight up against it so I couldn't get out. Well, there were some coloured fellows in it, so I went and asked them to move over.
And did they oblige?
Eventually, yes.
Did you see any of them well enough to be able to recognize them again?
Yes. He's the one who was in the driver's seat.
Doctor, did they in any way abuse or molest you?
No, sir. But at first they refused to move. It was only when I got into my own car and started trying to work my way out over the verge that they eventually moved on.
And you're positive that the man in the dock there was the driver of the car?
I am, yes.
Thank you, Doctor.
What time of the evening was this, Doctor?
When I left? About 10-ish, I'd say.
So when you went out to your car, it was dark.
Yes.
And yet you were able to identify them.
Well, I had a torch.
You had a torch.
General practitioners usually do. The more efficient ones.
The Hathaways have been registered with you for 7 years. During that time, have you ever treated either of them for infertility?
I'm certainly not answering that one.
Now, Dr. Percival, Mrs. Hathaway has told the court that she and her husband were perfectly capable of having children had they so wished. In view of this, I fancy that there's nothing unethical in answering that question.
Well, that's debatable, my lord. However, since the answer's in the negative, no, I have not.
Nor recommended them for treatment to a specialist?
No. However, if you're fretting about the Hathaways' attitude to propagation, I reckon they won't mind if I tell you something about that. All right, Bill?
Yes, Doctor?
Well, about a couple of years ago, Your Worship, he asked me to arrange a vasectomy op for him. That's when they sterilise by tying off the
I am aware of the details.
Uh-huh. Hardly the action of a man anxious to beget children.
Quite so, Doctor, and I think that should dispose of the matter once and for all, Mr. Haverstock-Brown.
Doctor, we have heard that the Hathaways were both suffering considerable nervous strain as a result of the persecutions.
Is that right?
Well, Mrs. Hathaway, distressed with migraines, her husband racked with insomnia. Surely in this condition, his anxieties could possibly have provoked, say, a delusional state affecting his judgment.
Are you asking me or telling me, Mr. Brown?
Asking you, Doctor.
Well, I'm telling you, you're way out on a limb there. He's not the nervous type. He's not given to anxiety symptoms, least of all of a delusional nature. Neither he nor his wife come to that.
No anxieties, no nerves?
Simply fed up with all this persecution.
I see. Now, we've also heard that the little girl Letitia was suffering from a progressive illness.
Oh, hardly progressive. She had an upset tummy, she was inclined to be feverish, and she developed this rash in her face and hands.
Did you conclude the symptoms were related?
I did.
So the overall syndrome was, in fact, psychosomatic in origin?
That was my diagnosis, yes.
So it's fair to assume that they were a sympathetic response to the spell? The spell she knew was being put on the family? Some deep cultural affinity? Some affinity with her ancestral spirits? Clear evidence of the threat latent in allowing her to remain with these two white people whose sole object was to undermine her cultural heritage?
Silence in court!
Mr. Haverstock-Brown, are we to take it that you believe in the force of this curse of Kilimanjaro?
Its psychological force? Yes, Your Lordship.
You are familiar with the juju of East Africa?
And no less than the juju of, say, the Vatican or the Kremlin, Your Lordship.
Ah, yes. I was just wondering, you see, if perhaps your origins were...
My immediate origins were, Your Lordship, were Southside Middlesbrough. But I understand that my forebears originated from tribal Africa by way of the Virgin Islands, if you follow me.
Yes. Try just to stick to the point, will you?
My lord. Dr. Percival, would you agree that Letitia Communia was responding in a psychosomatic way to the effect of this supposed tribal spell?
Certainly not.
To what, then?
Well, her condition was most probably a reflection of the state her foster parents were in.
But, Doctor, you just now assured us they were in no way troubled with anxieties.
You were talking in extremes, referring to delusions. Anyway, Letty's been inclined to nerves these last few years. She's quite a problem child in her way.
Ah.
The usual sort of identity hang-ups you get with adopted kids. Only, of course, accentuated in the case of transracial fostering like this.
In fact, Doctor, you're saying that Letitia Communia is suffering from a chronic nervous state as a result of being fostered to these two white people.
Now, wait a minute.
No wonder Mr. and Mrs. Communia are anxious to retrieve their daughter. Thank you, Dr. Percival.
So then I thought it was best to leave him alone.
Quite. So, just to summarize for the jury, you thought you might find Mr. Hathaway lunching at the Dog and Pheasant. You went there, arriving just as he left, and got into his car. You hooted to attract his attention, but he ignored you and instead drove off at speed. You followed him to the industrial estate car park, arriving just as he left his car. You hooted again as you drove up, but far from responding to this, he staggered into the path of your car, and you were moving at approximately 5 miles an hour. You swerved to avoid him, causing the forward passenger door to fly open. The door struck him, you stopped immediately and ran with your wife to help him. He, however, declined your assistance and instead abused you in a drunken manner.
Yes, that's it.
Why did you then leave the scene of the accident instead of, as the law requires, waiting until the police could be called?
It was unfortunate. I can see that now. But you have to understand a few things here. One, I did not know the law says we're supposed to stay. 2. We just had a big dose of the so-called British justice anyway, with an English judge telling us we had no...
Yes. And?
3. Hathaway didn't look like he was hurt too badly. Not the way he was shouting at us, swearing like that and spoiling for a row. I wasn't going to, expose my wife to a man in that mood.
Quite so. And as you say, an unfortunate decision, but a very human one. Now, Mr. Kamuni, would you care to explain why you and your wife had to foster Letitia out for as long as 9 years?
We had no choice, did we? What with me as student, inflation, the cost of living, the extortionate rents colored folk have to pay. My wife, she had to work. In Kenya, when the parents work, their families look after the children. That's the way we do things. But here, we had to lend our child to someone else. And then we lose her, and they try to make her into a white girl.
And now you have graduated.
We can go from here, go back to East Africa for my career.
And Letitia?
She can come back to us. Come home at last.
Oh, so you suppose, until you found the Hathaways weren't prepared to give her up.
Yes.
So then you had to apply to the High Court Family Division for her return.
That's right. 7 days of haggling, like we were in a goat market fixing ownership.
And very naturally, at the end of those 7 days, when the ruling went against you and your wife, you were shocked, distraught.
Man, I was blowing my mind. All that high talk, all that legal crap.
Quite so. Now then, to get back to the events on the 13th of April last. You had, that morning, driven up to Fulchester.
Yes.
Oh, why was that?
I wanted to speak to him.
What about?
You see, sir, we'd had the police round our house, asking my wife a lot of impertinent questions, insulting her the way they always do to black people.
What were they asking you about?
Where I was, where they could find me.
They were, in fact, following up the complaint lodged against you by the Hathaways.
That's right. So, sure, when I heard that, well, naturally, I had to get round to ask what he was saying.
And as you now know, it is because he imagined you were a party to certain harassments.
That's right.
To which he and his wife had been subjected. And were you, in fact, a party to that harassment?
I was not.
Did you even know these actions were being committed?
I did not. My lord, I'd be stupid to do a thing like that. With the appeal for Letitia coming up, and me and my wife needing to show what decent and respectable citizens we are.
Quite so, Mr. Kamuni. Nevertheless, there is no denying the fact that whoever did commit these actions saw them as a protest and sympathy with you and your wife's cause, with your losing your daughter to the Hathaways.
That's it.
So in view of that, have you any idea who these unknown people might have been?
Mr. Haverstock Brown, sir, every black parent in the UK was shocked by that judge's verdict. Everyone. Man, I had letters unnumbered. People coming to me. They were just shocked out of their souls. So if a bunch of them wanted to get together up here in Fulchester and make some sort of a show, well, that's human too. But like I told the police, me and my wife, we can be held responsible for the actions of every colored man trying to live in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Kamuni.
Mr. Lotterby?
Say it was the Dog and Pheasant where you first located Mr. Hathaway?
Yes.
Well, why had you chosen there to search for him? Or was it merely a fortunate coincidence you just happened to be passing the pub?
No, I reckon we might find him there.
You reckoned?
Sort of place he'd go to.
Mr. Kamudi, there are scores of lunching places here in Fulchester, and yet you happen to pick on the very one he invariably uses?
So, there's nothing wrong with that?
No, unless the real reason you chose that particular pub was that you had a far more intimate knowledge of Mr. Hathaway's movements than you're telling us.
Intimate?
A knowledge gained as a result of following him and his wife around for 3 weeks.
How do you mean?
Following him as a part of your campaign of harassment and persecution.
No.
No? So you're asking us to believe it was what? An inspired guess? You don't like the Hathaways much, do you, Mr. Kamuni?
Maybe not my choice of company, but...
But they were your choice of foster parent.
Look, that was before we saw what they wanted.
And when you did, your attitude changed?
That's it.
You grew to hate them, did you?
No, sir.
What then?
Sort of, more pity, I guess.
Well, you showed every sign of hatred when you were blowing your mind at the close of the High Court hearing.
It was in the heat of the moment, sir. My lord, I'm not a man who bears a grudge. I try to see it from their end. They want to care for our daughter, give her the things in life the way they see it. Well, they just don't know our ways, that's all.
So, Mr. Kamudi, even though you are having to fight the Hathaways for the custody of Letitia, you were not unsympathetic towards them.
Look, sir, if I have any hatred in me, it's for that sheep-haired, racialist judge in the family division and his pompous...
Kamuni, I must warn you in your own interest that the remarks of that nature are not likely to help your case with the jury.
Pardon me, Your Worship.
Very well, Mr. Lotterby.
Mr. Kamudi, if I may echo my learned friend for a moment, I fancy the jury might find that outburst of yours revealing. A sheep-haired racialist judge. Choice of phrase one might expect from a political activist. Sort of sloganized jargon one encounters at protest demos outside South Africa House. Do you love Letitia?
She's my daughter.
In the original custody hearing, did you not say of losing her, "For myself, I would not worry. A man can live without his children. Well, without his daughters." Did you say that?
Maybe.
And this is how a father should love his daughter?
Look, I do love her.
Really? Well, I put it to you, sir, that from the outset you have seen the loss of your child not as an issue of love, but as a quasi-political cause, as an ideal opportunity of winning publicity for the cause of racial discrimination.
My lord!
These are serious allegations, Mr. Lotterby. Can you justify them? And aren't they side issues anyway?
I'd be obliged, my lord, if you would allow me to continue for a little longer.
Very well, if you think it will help you.
Do you deny your involvement in politics, Mr. Kamuni, in particular with regard to civil rights?
No coloured man can live in this country without getting to care about that, about civil rights.
Oh, I'm sure, but caring is one thing, involvement quite another. Are you involved, Mr. Kamuni? Do you join in protest demonstrations? Would you partake in a campaign of harassment aimed at winning publicity for the case of racial victimization?
Now, look,
a case, for instance, where a white couple is trying to take a black couple's child.
Look, like I just said, with the appeal coming up, we were keeping out of it.
You also said just earlier you're about to begin a career in East Africa. A career in what?
Administration.
You hope to become a civil servant, is that it?
Maybe.
Maybe. And what's the subject you finally managed to graduate in from college?
Political science.
Well, surely in a developing country like Kenya, a career in politics would be far more logical for you.
That could be.
I'm sure it would be. Before coming to London, isn't it true you were active in the Youth League of the Kenya African National Union?
Yes.
Yes. Now then, you have denied all knowledge of this campaign of persecution. Instead, you've suggested that an organization of coloured people in this country sympathetic to your cause could have been responsible.
That's right.
Have you ever heard of a London-based organization known as the East African People's Association?
Yes.
Is this the sort of organization you had in mind?
How's that?
As being behind the campaign of persecution.
They don't operate that way. The EAPA are right out in the open.
Ah, yes, well, you should know. You have yourself been associated with it for a number of years, have you not?
Look, sir, I am from East Africa. There's nothing that says we mustn't get together to help ourselves.
Nothing at all. No, you have, in fact, played a most active part in that organization, notably in the area of demonstrations.
I've joined the odd protest.
The odd protest? Oh, Mr. Kamuni, surely you've taken part in organizing a very large number of protest demonstrations.
Look, I've been a student,
Yes,
sir.
in political science and over a period of 10 years. Do you deny that as a student of politics here, certain actions were vital to your future career in Kenya?
Such as?
Well, you had to become involved in civil rights.
Look, like I just
You
said...
had to partake in these protest demonstrations.
A few of them...
Organize an active part in organizing these protests, in stimulating fresh issues, in squeezing the maximum amount of publicity out of cases such as your own, where the English law appears to favor white rather than black, by awarding a white couple custody of a black child.
Now, look here. If you're going to damn twist me like a snake, just listen to this, Mr. Lawyer. We've sat through a lot of this. Orders, injunctions, hearings, appeals, one court after another, being condemned by racialist judges, and having that woman there call us barbarous. Well, I want Letitia back in Kenya. And you want to know why? Because to me, this country has nothing for her. Nothing. You call it civilized, I call it crazy. Grasping and permissive and rotten with hypocrisy. Rotten and on the way out. Okay, so Kenya may not be the rich welfare state like you. Sure, we're short of schools and hospitals and industry. But what we have there is a sense of family, a sense of community. You think you uplifted us with your Western culture, but the truth is, we took in what we wanted of it. And now we have the best of your culture and the best of ours reconciled in us. That's what I want for my daughter. And believe me, man, I'm going to fight for it. Fight every one of you all the way.
Well, I wonder if you've chosen the right weapons, Mr. Kamuni. No further questions, thank you.
No re-examinations, Your Lordship.
You may go back to the dock, Mr. Kamuni.
My Lord, and with your permission, I will delay calling Mrs. Kamuni until after we have heard from the witness, Cheki Mwangi.
Mr. Lotterby?
My Lord.
Very well.
J.K. Mwangi, please.
Mr. Mwangi, were you present as a passenger in the back of the accused car on the 13th of April last?
Yes, I was.
And would you be so kind as to describe for us the events which took place on that day?
See, we caught up with him in this car park, and he rolled in what was most transparently a drunken manner into Mr. Kamuni's way.
Did Mr. Kamuni sound his horn to warn of his approach?
A good blast, yes. Anyone would have heard, but he just rolled on.
And then?
Well, I thought, that's it. Here we have a dead man. But no. Mr. Kamuni pulled over the wheel, we swung round, and somehow we missed him.
Except for the forward passenger door, which flew open.
How, I don't know. That man owes his drunken life to Mr. Kamuni. If he had a grain of decency in his body, he would give a reward, not all this.
Quite so. And then what happened?
Well, Mr. and Mrs. Kamuni jumped out. They ran to him. They wanted to help, but he just kept shouting insults at them. Wild, you know? Well, I could see he was acting like a wild animal. So I said to Mr. Kamuni, look, leave him. The fault was his. He wants no help from us. Leave him. At last, Mr. Kamuni says, okay, and we leave.
Thank you. Now, this is very important. How would you describe the Kamuni's attitude towards Mr. William Hathaway before the incident?
See, they were just confused. They said to me, look, here is this man, once been our friend, the second father to our child. Why he's now turning the law onto us? They just wanted a chat, that is all.
One last thing. How long have you known Mr. and Mrs. Kamuni?
8, 9 years.
And would you describe them as fiery or aggressive in temperament?
Aggressive? Look, I tell you, Mr. Kamuni and me, we are like brothers. No man is of a sweeter nature. That man, he's too sweet. I said to him sometimes, look, you going in for a politician, you got to be more hard, more ruthless. There is no place for the virgins in the politics.
And Mrs. Kamuni?
Oh, well, she is a good woman, you know, a good wife, never any trouble.
The case of the Queen against Kamuni and Kamuni will be resumed tomorrow in the Crown Court. Mr. and Mrs. Kamuni are charged with dangerous driving and attempting to cause grievous bodily harm last April, 3 weeks after the High Court granted legal custody of their little daughter to Mr. and Mrs. Hathaway. Mr. Hathaway was knocked down by Mr. Kamuni's car. The Hathaways claim that this was a deliberate assault, climaxing weeks of persecution by the Kamunis who want their daughter back. The Kamunis deny being involved in any such persecution and claim that Hathaway was knocked down by accident. Mr. Lotterby, for the prosecution, is cross-examining Mr. Mwangi, who was a passenger in the back of the car.
Well, I suggest to you, Mr. Mwangi, the accused were in an excessively hostile frame of mind towards Mr. Hathaway. They intended to come to Fulchester to do him an injury, and they persuaded you to come along as an independent witness in the event of any comeback.
No. Look, I told you I'm his friend, that is why I was there.
A very valuable friend under the circumstances. In fact, you say you are like brothers, correct?
That's correct.
May we take it you chose that phrase because you are fellow members of the East African People's Association?
Please?
Well, isn't it true that the members refer to each other as brothers?
Maybe.
Maybe? Oh, Mr. Mwangi, you're surely not going to try and conceal your involvement with this organization? You've been its treasurer for 5 years.
So what?
Well, it's been suggested that an association of colored people must have been responsible for the campaign of persecution conducted against the Hathaways.
You aren't tying us in with that. It was probably some nutcase. You can't pin that on us.
Quite so. But you surely wouldn't deny that this association is sympathetic towards the Communies over the loss of their child?
Sure.
Mr. Kamuni has told us that every black parent in the land was shocked at the verdict.
Not only here, man. African peoples all over. In Kenya, Zambia, Nigeria, everywhere. They're asking themselves, how can we continue to be Commonwealth partners with the UK? A country riddled with such hypocrisy. A country calling itself civilized, yet permitting this racist victimization of African expatriates.
Mr. Mwangi, I will not have this court exploited as a forum for political protest. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And you, Mr. Lotterby, if, as I suspect, it was your intention to provoke the witness, please desist.
My lord. Thank you. No further questions.
Very well, you may leave the witness box.
For my last witness, I call the accused, Mrs. Marika Kamuni.
What is your religion?
Church of East African Presbyterian, sir.
Take the book in your right hand and read aloud the words on the card.
I swear by Almighty God that the evidence I shall give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Amen.
You are Mrs. Marika Kamuni of flat D, 185 Knox Road, London West 12?
I am.
And you work at Lukin's supermarket in Holland Park, where you have been employed for the last 8 years?
Yes, sir.
My lord, I wish to put in as Exhibit 8 evidence, a statement by the manager of Lukin's supermarket, in which he testifies to the excellent character and record of honesty of the accused.
You admit this as evidence, Mr. Lotterby?
I do, my lord.
And perhaps you would like to tell the court what your profession was before you left Kenya.
I was a school teacher in Kibwezi, up to Standard 4.
Now, earlier, you heard your husband tell the court the details of how you came to be in Fulchester on the 13th of April last. How you followed William Hathaway to the car park, and how you came to be knocked down there. Do you agree with his descriptions of these events?
He has said it.
You also heard Hathaway state that you flung the car's passenger door open with the deliberate intention of injuring him. What do you say to that?
It is mistaken, sir.
You did not fling it open.
I do not think so.
Nevertheless, it did swing open. And can you explain how?
No, sir.
Oh, the car was being swerved violently to the right. So the left-hand door would have had, so to speak, wanted to fly open. A bit of turning motion of the car. A rather dilapidated old car with defective door catches would have
My
had
lord,
to...
this leading of the witness.
Mrs. Kamuni, did you in fact operate the handle of the passenger door?
I do not know. See, I had hold of the handle ready to get out.
Yes.
So maybe with the turning motion of the car you would have had...
Dr. Brown, the witness seems perfectly capable of speaking for herself.
It could have been like that. I don't know for sure. See, it was all very quick, sir.
You had hold of the handle of the door, and the next thing you knew, it was swinging open. Is that it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. A moment. Very well, Mr. Haverford Brown.
Mrs. Kamuni, You're also charged with aiding and abetting your husband in his alleged dangerous driving. Now, what have you to say to that?
I do not understand it.
Why? Because he was not driving dangerously at the time?
I do not know.
Madam, you were in the car.
Sir, I do not drive a car. How would I judge him on that?
But were you encouraging him to try and run Mr. Hathaway down?
No, of course not.
Thank you. Now then, I would like to ask you some questions about your daughter. Isn't it true that you and your husband held rather different views about fostering Letitia?
That is not for me to say, sir.
But in the High Court, your husband has said, a man can live without his children, well, without his daughter. He then went on to add, but a mother, for her the loss is as though she had lost a limb. Correct?
Yes, sir.
And would you agree?
It is obvious. I bore Letitia. She is my flesh. I love her as myself, but with the love of any mother.
Mm. And you were unhappy about having to foster her out to someone like the Hathaways?
I had to work for money. There was no other way. In Kenya, my father would have taken her into his house, but here that could not be.
Isn't it true that when the Hathaways moved away from London, you wanted to foster Letitia out to someone nearer to you so that she could remain close to you?
That was in my heart.
Speak up, please.
Yes.
But your husband objected.
It was for him. He is the man.
So indeed, you have had disagreements over Letitia's fate.
No, sir. Sir, he was right. Mr. and Mrs. Hathaway made a good home for her. They cared for her, as though she was their daughter.
So you were content to leave her with them?
Where else would I have put her? I was foolish. Where we live, there is no one good like them to take her. Only poor people wanting the money. Only the twilight homes. My husband was right.
The what home?
Twilight homes, my lord. The local term for illegal foster parents.
Illegal?
The result of supply and demand, sir. There is a lamentable shortage of both registered foster parents and day nurseries facilities. I understand that thousands of hard-working mothers like Mrs. Kamuni have no alternative but to farm out their infants, so to speak, in the quiet, to these wretched places which may make a disproportionate profit.
And you say this would have been the only alternative for Letitia?
Yes, sir.
One final point, Marika. We heard Mrs. Hathaway state that you contributed nothing towards Letitia's upkeep. Is that true?
I offered, but she refused.
So you have paid no money?
Not to them.
Nevertheless, is it not true you have paid a regular contribution of £2 a week into a post office savings account for your daughter?
Yes, for Letitia, not them.
Thank you.
Mrs. Kamuni, where were you born?
In Nachindi. It is a village in the district of Kebwezi.
Your father's a chief, isn't he?
No, sir. My father is the headman of Nachindi.
A sort of sub-chief, then. What tribe?
The Makuyu.
Is your husband also of this tribe?
My husband was born in Nairobi, sir, but his father is of the Makuyu.
Your tribe observes many customs that we in this country would find strange. For instance, do you not practice clitoridectomy and polygamy? Female circumcision?
No, not in my family.
And polygamy? The practice of a man taking more than one wife?
Sir, my husband and me, we are both Presbyterian, as you have in Scotland. We know there can be only one wife.
And the beliefs relating to continuity. Now, isn't it true the Makuyu believe the sacred tribal soul lives on through the children of each generation?
That is so.
My lord, this may all be of profound interest to an anthropologist, but I fail to see its relevance in this case.
Mr. Lotterby?
My lord, Mrs. Kamuni is accused of a serious crime of violence. Now, I submit that we need fully to understand her attitudes. And to do this, we need to know something of her cultural background.
Sir,
Yes, Mrs. Comuni?
I'm not ashamed of these things. I would like them understood.
Very well then, Mr. Lotterby, but I would remind you that time is getting on, and I should like to see this case concluded today.
Lord. So, Mrs. Comuni, because the child bears the tribal soul, this is presumably why you are so desperate to retrieve custody of Letitia.
Sir, I have said, I want Letitia because I love her as the child of my flesh.
But also because of this
No,
tribal...
sir. We believe it is only the sons who carry the soul of the Makuyu. Letitia is a daughter. She is not blessed.
Then there's the fact that in the tribe you still have the extended family system. You said earlier that had you been in Kenya, your baby would have been brought up by your parents and presumably your other relatives in Chindi.
That is so. And when we are ready, as now, she would have come to us without dispute.
Yes. Yes, the whole concept of fostering as we know it here is completely alien to you, isn't it? A product of Western culture where we have what is known as the nuclear family system.
The small family. It is very sad.
Yes, I'm sure. Particularly for someone like yourself who will not wholly understand when one of our courts rules against your right to have your own child.
Sir, I understand. In 10 years here, it is long enough for me to know your ways.
Well, in that case, Mrs. Kamuni, I confess to being puzzled at the hatred and resentment you've shown towards the Hathaways.
I do not hate Mr. and Mrs. Hathaway.
You don't?
No, sir. There are people who do what they believe to be right for Letitia.
Well, if you don't hate them, how is it that you cursed them at the end of the custody hearing?
Sir, you say that. I do not.
Well, what do you say, then? What is your version?
What I said to them in the court was a warning that they must now be cursed for taking Letitia from her people.
But not cursed by you?
No, sir.
By whom, then?
By the ancestor spirits of Makuyu, sir.
I see. And was this ancestral curse related to what you said to Mr. Hathaway after the assault, when you told him he would die?
My lord, the witness has not admitted to saying that.
Nor has she denied it. Did you say it?
I do not know for sure. Perhaps.
What do you suppose you might have meant by it?
Sir, you must understand. The curse of the spirits is complete. No man can escape. No man and no woman.
So this was another of your friendly warnings, was it?
Not friendly, sir. I am much saddened for these people. And for my daughter also.
Well, she is cursed as well.
She has taken their ways. She says she loves them. When they now suffer, she too will suffer.
Well, I'm sure your show of concern, your sadness is all very touching, but it hardly explains your action in flinging open the car door so that it struck Mr. Hathaway with such violence that he broke his arm and was thrown to the ground.
No, sir.
No what? No, you didn't fling it open?
What I mean, sir, it does not explain it.
And you can?
No, sir.
You admit doing it, flinging it open?
Sir, it is true what you have written down.
I had hold of the handle, and the next thing I knew, the door was swinging open.
You don't wish to change that?
No.
Or add to it, perhaps?
Sir, the door swung hard. It must have. Many times I have asked myself, did I push it? Did I throw it open? Can I be sure?
And have you found no sure answer? Because if not, then this statement may stand as it is.
You see, it was the will of the spirits that Mr. Hathaway was struck.
I see. And you think, now be sure to correct me if I misunderstand you here, you think that, so to speak, those spirits might be acting through you.
This could be.
That you might be the instrument of your ancestral spirits, the unconscious instrument.
Sir, far be it from me to accuse your lordship of prejudicial leading, but this...
On the contrary, Mr. Haverstock Brown, as I see it, I'm simply helping the witness to articulate a somewhat abstract explanation.
Hardly an explanation, your lordship. A lot of mumbo-jumbo about ancestral
Maybe mumbo-jumbo
spirits.
to you, Mr. Haverstock Brown, but since the witness may believe it, I fail to see your objection. If she is genuinely sincere, then this evidence can only be beneficial to her case.
As your lordship pleases.
So, Mrs. Comuni, if I may just clarify this, you agree that Mr. Hathaway may be correct in his evidence, that you admit there's a possibility you threw the door open, but that if so, it was an unconscious act in some way dictated by your ancestral spirits.
That is so.
I see. Now, while not for one moment wishing to impugn your sincerity, I must confess to being yet again puzzled. You see, on the one hand, you say you're a practicing Presbyterian, and yet on the other hand, you admit to practices which I, for one, can only interpret as pagan and certainly contrary to the teachings of the Presbyterian Church. Well, what do you have to say to that?
Sir, at the mission, they tell us we sin if the husband takes more than one wife. And again we sin if we practice the tribal initiation ceremonies. But they do not tell us we sin if we believe in the spirits of our ancestors, any more than in the Holy Ghost.
Mrs. Comuni, one last question. We've heard a lot of emotive talk about the tragedy of your losing your child to the Hathaways. Have you any other children?
I have only one Letitia, one daughter, the firstborn of my flesh.
But do you have any other children?
Yes, I have also 2 sons.
You have 2 other children. Thank you, Mrs. Comuni.
Mrs. Comuni, in view of the problems that you've encountered over your daughter, was it not a shade improvident to continue having children?
Sir, you should understand. To African people, it is everything to have born a son.
As you implied before, the tribal soul.
Yes, sir.
But nevertheless, would it not have been wiser perhaps to have waited until your husband had concluded his studies?
Yes, we did wait. For 5 years. Until we were hoping that soon Mr. Comuni must graduate and we shall return home.
And the 5 years proved to be a shade optimistic.
Yes, sir. And when the new baby was born, he was twins.
My word. Just to compound the problem.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Haverstock Brown.
Mrs. Comuni, you mentioned earlier about the Twilight Homes. Would you care to tell us how it is you know of these wretched places?
I know as any colored parent knows.
And have you first-hand experiences of them?
Yes. My 2 sons have to stay in one of these places while I go to work.
So it's either that or risk losing them too to someone like the Hathaways.
That is the way we understand it, sir.
Thank you, Marika. No further questions.
You may return to your seat, Mrs. Comuni, and thank you.
That concludes the case for the defense, Your Lordship.
Mr. Lotterby.
My Lord, members of the jury, we have heard terrible stories of the harassment of Mr. and Mrs. Hathaway. And we've heard clear evidence from Mrs. Hathaway and from Dr. Percival that Thuo Comuni, at least, was very much party to this persecution. However, the Comunis are not charged with persecution, but with dangerous driving and attempting to cause grievous bodily harm. Can there be any doubt in your minds, ladies and gentlemen, that filled with unreasonable hate towards the Hathaways for having robbed them of their child, they intended to cause William Hathaway serious injury, which they did, breaking his arm? Now, the accused claim that William Hathaway was drunk. And this is clearly untrue, as the doctor who examined him after the assault found no traces whatsoever of drunkenness. Now, Mrs. Comuni has said that she did, in fact, open the passenger door, the door which caused the injury, and that she may have said to Mr. Hathaway when he was lying injured on the ground, "You will die." But she said she was acting as the unconscious instrument of certain ancestral spirits. Now, do you believe this, members of the jury? It seems to me a most lame and fanciful excuse, and I ask you to find the accused guilty on all charges.
Members of the jury, as you have heard, the Hathaways felt badly about depriving the Comunis of their only daughter. They therefore attributed feelings of bitterness to them and assumed the Comunis were behind the persecutions. As this persecution continued, it very naturally preyed on William Hathaway's mind. He was sickened by the black magic aspect of it. He was racked with insomnia. So it is small wonder that after a snack at the public house, where he may well have sought to assuage his unhappy conscience with an excessive amount of drink, small wonder that after that he should mistake this accident as a deliberate assault. A human enough error of judgment, and one too about which he clearly had doubts, as is apparent from his protracted delay in contacting the police after the incident. In fact, the communies, confused and alarmed by news of fresh legal proceedings against him, merely wanted to ask the Hathaways what it was all about. And so they tried to catch up with him to ask him. Now, their appeal over Letitia's custody is due to be heard next month. The very last thing they're likely to do would be to embark on campaigns of persecution and actions of aggressive assault, which would destroy their chances in the appeal court. And it is your duty to acknowledge this fact and to find them not guilty.
Now, members of the jury, the point of law upon which your verdict must hinge is one of intent. Now, first, to deal with the question of assault. You must ask yourselves whether the prosecution have shown beyond reasonable doubt that either Mr. or Mrs. Comuni on the day of that driving incident were attempting to cause serious injury to Mr. Hathaway. If you think one of them was, then you must find him or her guilty. You can only convict the other if you are satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that he or she was actively encouraging such an attempt. Now again, on the dangerous driving charge, are you satisfied beyond reasonable doubt that the incident happened as Mr. Hathaway described, and that amounted to dangerous driving? If the answer to either of these questions is no, then you must find Mr. Comuni not guilty. But if you find him guilty of this charge, you could not convict his wife unless you are sure that she was actively encouraging dangerous driving. Now, will you please retire to consider your verdict?
All stand. Have you reached verdicts on which you're all agreed?
Yes.
Do you find the prisoner, Thuo Kamuni, guilty or not guilty of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm?
Not guilty.
And do you find him guilty or not guilty of dangerous driving?
Not guilty.
And do you find the prisoner, Marika Kamuni, guilty or not guilty of attempting to cause grievous bodily harm?
Not guilty.
Mr. and Mrs. Comuni, you are free to go.
All stand.
Next week, our cameras return to watch another leading case in the Crown Court.